What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm BDLM coming to you right next to my buddy J4Y. What's going on, bud?
Oh, just doing one of our famous live casts.
There
Except
you
the
go.
last one we didn't have webcams when it was at
that's
your
very true.
house you were sitting. So this is our first, visual live cast, and just kind of a glimpse of the future when we make millions off these things and we can afford to get that mansion we can move into for our land house. It's going to be something similar to this. The same webcam, though, because we don't want to upgrade that. That's just...
No, we keep the same webcam.
traditions.
We just mount it onto a tiger that will sit in front of us and make it work.
Speaking of tigers, by the way, there is a cat up in this business, so if you hear meowing, it's not this guy, believe it or not. It is a cat that I own. So I just want to get that on the clear.
Yeah. I will start off by apologizing that we were not here on Tuesday night. I had a funeral to attend, so I had to get to that. But so we decided to make it up with this nice little Thursday craziness. Very unique little thing that we haven't done before. Trying to really take the breakdown to what it should be. Of actually being able to watch a game very closely and pick apart what's getting done. We're gonna try and make this so it'll sound good for audio if you guys are just listening in on iTunes. If you have listened to our stuff on iTunes, thank you very much. Thank you guys for subscribing this last week, much appreciated. Then this coming Tuesday we will be back on schedule. So today, would you like to kind of give us a little information about this game that we're going to be watching?
Yeah, I mean, you will see in a second we're going to jump into the picks and bans, but essentially, me and BDM here with our friends Terps, Gino Beam, and Bonk. You probably recognize some of those names by now. Essentially, we decided to try out a Captain's Mode 5-on-5. Kind of like, that's the closest thing you could get to like a pre-made sort of try to fight again, play against other teams. We decided to try out our skills as a team and see what we could accomplish with picking and banning. I thought that was pretty interesting. And we actually ended up going against a pre-made team. It was called Aqua, I guess. And they even had a fancy picture. So obviously, super tryhards compared to us.
We were legit scared when this popped up because we're like, oh, tags and all, you say? But yeah, so the whole point of this, we're going to try and sort of give you a glimpse at what's good about watching your own replays. Try to get a feel of what goes on, because I'll be honest, when I rewatch this and being able to look at like the gold graphs and stuff like that, got a much different feel from the way it felt playing the game. So hopefully we can shed some light on some of that meow. That one was me. So do you have any other precursors to say before we jump right into this game?
Well, that's all those to get out of the way. You already mentioned it, but just if you haven't had a chance to check us out on iTunes yet, we're on there. Just search Dota On Demand. You'll see us pop up. We got 15 episodes and counting. Actually, it's technically 14. There was an episode 2 that's kind of missing, but
nope, there was no.
There was no episode 2. That's what I meant to say. You didn't hear that last part. But yeah, we're going to keep uploading these, usually the night of after we do it, so you can subscribe there or watch us live, which no one unfortunately does very often, but we still love to do it, so if you want to join us.
That's why we'll love you, because you'll do it. You'll be our favorite fan ever.
And okay, that's actually all I had to say, so you want to just jump into this then?
Yeah, let's do it. This game was a second attempt. We tried doing the Captain's Mode queue. We got matched up against Aqua, and as soon as the game started, the Dota craziness went down, and so we wound up having to get kicked out of the game. Tried to go back in. You can go ahead and start that off, buddy. So this is our second attempt. We were going to do the same picks and bans that we had done the last game. Those get messed up a little bit here, but I don't know about you, but I thought it was so interesting when we did this. Like, I know it's, I don't know, a flaw of mine, but it's something I've noticed will happen. It's like, oh hey, Matt, who would you ban in a game? Prophet, Shen, Enchantress, Darkseer. You could still do Dragon Knight if you felt like he was a threat. Anti-Mage, like just off the top of my head, I can think of so many. When we got into this, Bonk was our team captain. And he was just like, so,
5 seconds
who do we ban? I was just like,
It's funny. It's funny because not only do we watch a lot of competitive programs talking about them, but our friends also love to watch the live streams that Toby and all them do. So they see these bans and picks all the time. But I guess, when you jump into doing it yourself, it's just a whole other thing. Like, oh, who would be scared of? Oh, I don't even know. Who do you want to play? Oh, jeez, I'm not ready. It's just funny.
I mean, there's certainly a difference between some of the heroes that you would probably ban in a professional game versus, a casual game.
Close. We're pretty much professional.
Well, I am. I don't know about you. We certainly look to go after... We were trying to figure out how to type in all chat for the first
Yeah.
minute and a half of this, which is why we're wasting all of our bonus time on this first ban. Mr. Bonk did not realize that we had the first ban, so
Yeah.
there you go. But it goes pretty quick after that. So yeah, we were like, who do we just not want to put up with? First, Anti-Mage right off the bat. Prophet comes out second. You know, those are pretty standard bans, just all around. Just not having that super hard carry and not having the map presence of Prophet.
Now, generally, since we figured out, though, that we were not only first ban, but that means your first pick as well, normally you want to try to take out, like, Invoker, but in this case, we knew Bonk played Invoker exceptionally well, and we're like, well, if we get first pick and they don't ban it, we're going to take Invoker, and that's exactly what you're going to see happens here. And, you know, obviously, super strong hero, very dominant in the mid to late game also, all around good, and since we had someone, like we said, that could play it well, that's what's really important, so we decided to, as you see here, pick it up as our first one.
Yeah, I mean, our second ban, the Broodmother, again, just a hero that isn't, like, broken by any means, but it's just a pain to try and deal with. You see, Team Aqua, they decided to first pick Darkseer, which I'm going to want to talk about after this game's over, and then Venomancer, which was my pick, by the way, in the first game. We're like, oh yeah, let's pick the same heroes, and then, where you go, they picked Venomancer instead of the original Sand King, so I'm all WTF, but eventually I get to pick up the Vengeful Spirit, which I guess, in hindsight, I'm glad I got.
Yeah, it worked out. I mean, the difference... I mean, you'll see Vengeful Spirit, so I don't have to go into it too much, but the difference between Venomancer and Vengeful, obviously Vengefule's going to be more of a great setup, you know, against the ganks, so the stun for helping at that, or also set up your own ganks as well as the swap. You know, the minus armor plus damage boost from the aura is actually really synergizes well depending on your team lineup. Whereas the Venomancer is more of, I feel like, a good pusher, not a bad initiator of ganks as well, and then of course that ulti for the huge AoE team fight potential. So just very separate things on the scale. Well, it depends what you're really looking for, I guess.
Yeah, that's something I noticed about our team. Aside from Invoker and Shaker, we actually, when we were tryharding in Heroes of New Earth, we built a team like kind of for the lulz, but it was still very serious, based around minus armor. And we kind of do the same thing here. Like we picked up Dazzle, a Vengeful Spirit, Shadow Fiends. Who else was it?
Slardar?
Yeah, we picked up Slardar. I don't remember who the last person was. I feel like they also had minus armor, or maybe they picked up the minus armor item. But regardless, we just picked up like all the minus armor you could think of and tried to work it into a good strategy. So we kind of did the same thing here. I mean, like I said, we were all a little bit thrown off by this whole WTF Captain's Mode thing. But yeah, to finish out the bans though, see, interestingly enough, Dragon Knight banned out. After the Shadow Shaman and then Sand King was their last ban, we decided to ban out Faceless Void because he's another just huge late game carry who can control team fights, and then Night Stalker, so we didn't have to be as worried about the gank.
Yeah, we banned out pretty much all the hard carries that we didn't want to face, and I mean, especially since they decided to pick what we assumed was going to be their two like support characters. Not necessarily the case actually in this game, but that's why we're like, okay, they obviously need to pick some kind of hard carry, and these are the ones we don't want to go against. So I mean, that's why we decided to finish out with 4 of those picks. Really quick picks coming up here. We decided to go with Marana and Slardar as our last picks, and then they had Sven and Kunkka, which leads into some interesting things. We'll get into that obviously as the game goes. But yeah, so all around, I don't know. From this standpoint, which would you say which team you favored?
I mean, I liked our team. Aqua's team doesn't make sense. Like, let's be honest. I think if you look at that from afar, you're like, wait, how are the lanes going to work? Like, what are they going to be trying to do here? I mean, I definitely expected this looking at it. Okay, Darkseer really is going to want to get his Angadims fast so that he can clone the Sven and the Kunkka, who we were going to imagine we're going to be getting a lot of farm and try to carry it into the late game. I mean, you know, so we didn't pick up any, like, super hard carries. Slardar more of an initiator than a carry. Marana, a pretty good carry. But we didn't want to have to deal with the wall any more than we had to. We actually decided in this game to have Terps go ahead and roam to try and set up First Blood. He will come to the top lane with me and our friend Geno Beam playing the Slardar to try and get the First Blood on whoever decides to go up there. And then we sent Marana bottom, you buddy, and then Invoker middle.
Yeah, and I mean, the Marana, that's the reason I think we really wanted to pick her up. Not only did we like kind of figure out we wanted to set kind of like a tri-lane thing for our top lane with the Earthshaker, obviously, being able to set those ganks and keeping that bench full to babysit. And we're like, well, who can be in the side lane? Obviously, they already picked up Windrunner, but that was my first kind of thinking. But like, oh, they already took it. Who else is really good? Oh, Mirana. Not only will she carry for us, but she can escape really easily. She can even set up ganks for other lanes. She's got a lot of potential. And then the ultimate for the global presence if you need it. Which is all around a really great solo side.
That reminds me, while we have this pause, there are sometimes I have these big dreams and aspirations for the little thing we do here. And, when you see, a couple hundred views on the video, it's like, okay, it'd be nice if it's, a couple thousand, but I didn't realize that only team captains watch our show. Because I'm pretty sure that if we've said it, it pretty much happens immediately afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
I believe I called Mirana becoming a bigger part of the metagame. You asked for Warlock, and you got him the next week.
Oh, yes, we did.
I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, what was the other one? I'm drawing a blank, but it'll come to me, don't worry.
Well, I can tell you, remember, I said I hated Darkseer, and then Navi banned him out all throughout that defense final. So he listens.
I said that I hated Dragonite because I didn't see how he was going to be usable, and shortly after he started getting picked up. I mean, call us prophets, call us gorgeous, whatever you feel like. One way or another, it's just a fun little trend to note.
Indeed, and as you can see here, we didn't really know what they were going to do with the lanes. You'd think, when you think of Kunkka picked up, often you think he's going to solo the mid when they have a lineup like this, because if he can level up that Tidebringer, it's really easy to farm, especially the last rank. I believe it's a 4-second cooldown. Yeah, 4-second cooldown to do 60 bonus damage and basically hit the whole creep wave and the hero oftentimes behind it. You can remind me all you want. I'm going to try to... I love this ward.
It's
I just want to stare at this ward.
As the non-spawn creeps are to watch. Yeah, I mean, if you look at Kunkka's items here, he actually picks up smoke, pops it almost immediately, and is looking for someone to check the rune at the top river. I mean, kind of smart on their part, trying to catch us off guard. But nobody will fall for that on our team, because we are very interested in picking up the first blood top. They actually decided to run Darkseer top, and then Windrunner bottom for the solo, and of course Venomancer in the middle lane. We actually a gank being put down here on Bonk, really taking advantage of the setup that they have here. If you look at Sven, and then you look at Kunkka, Sven can land the stun, Kunkka can ensure getting the knockup. And so we see that Kunkka will actually get first blood on Invoker, but Invoker able to take out Sven because he in tower range. And of course, when you level up the first level Quas, you have some health regeneration, some sturdiness that you wouldn't otherwise have going other builds. And just Venomancer, Kunkka, Sven, those three heroes have a lot of potential to gank. But this kind of setup they have is very, very strange.
Yeah. Oh, so unfortunately he missed that Gale there. It would have really helped to set up the final game. But you can see this combination. It's just brutal. This time I believe he's going to survive because he does have that nice Quas. It's 3 health regen just by itself at level 1. I mean, that's like getting that, a nice little, almost a ring of health right off the bat. I mean, who doesn't want that in the laning phase?
Yeah, for sure. We tried to get first blood up in the top lane. Unfortunately, Terps missed the stunner. He hit it, but he put the person on the other side of the wall. QQ, so we weren't able to pick that up there. But yeah, just part of the whole not really having a good grip of how the flow of the game was. Like, there were points in this game I was really concerned with the last hitting. I mean, because you always hear it's like, oh, it's actually pretty easy to deny creeps against Darkseer because of Shell, but of course I was messing it up because, I'm the best around. But, yeah, it didn't actually go too bad up here. Something interesting, and just to note, they're actually going to look and try and gank this top lane, putting the Ion Shell onto Sven, and Sven's going to come and look for the Shaker. I don't remember what happens. We'll have to wait and find out. They actually pop Haste on Kunkka to try and do something here. Good stun by Geno Beam will ensure that Sven
gets pulverized. That's my new phrase.
Pulverized. Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Something interesting to note, I have personally, unlike other heroes, especially Crystal Maiden, I've had very picky ways about how you skill them up. And originally with Crystal Maiden, I'm like 3 points in aura, 1 point in stun, 1 point in the slow for a really long time, and didn't really agree with any other builds. But as I've been trying to play more and watching other people and how they level up the supports, I've come to find out it seems like most people look to try and level up their nukes, like, prioritize. So if you look at my build on Vengeful Spirit, what I wound up trying to do was get the 2 points in the Comet Stun, putting 1 point into the Wave of Terror so that you can get the armor reduction, which is, of course, was kind of the theme of our team. And then put points into the aura as well to make it a little bit easier to last it and to deny. But yeah, definitely grabbing point in the stun to get a little bit extra duration, and then the extra burst damage, which you're going to need in order to bring down these solo heroes that have good outs, like Darkseer, who has the Surge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're such a tanky lineup, and that was kind of the hard part when you were trying to think of how to possibly set up ganks on them or what they're doing. We were still trying to figure out what their strategy is. It kind of started making more sense.
This is one of the most beautiful plays by Terps. I hate to cut you off. He sees that Venomancer is aware of where he is and tries to cut off the ramp down towards middle because he knows that they were running around trying to move between middle and top. As soon as he's like, okay, Venomancer's here, what can I do to try and make this easier for me to get out? Immediately turns and tries to cut off that path in to try and save himself. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, but I just thought that was one of the best plays of his in this game.
Of his life.
It probably
fair
was
to say, of his Earthshaker career,
yeah,
that might have been it.
True.
But actually, you see Slardar here picking up that ring of health, so it looks like he's going to go for that early Vanguard. I guess just to make sure he has absolute lane presence, because we're never really sure. Actually, I like that combination as you see set up here on this poor Pro BDLM. Just getting annihilated by that combination. But yeah, using that Surge to speed up Sven so he can land that stun right away, really smart plan there.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about saving this for later, but since you're gonna force my hand at it, I really like parts of their team makeup, but it's just trying to incorporate Darkseer, Veno, Sven, and Kunkka all together. It sort of gets weird, and then the lane's a little bit harassed here by Invoker. But I mean, how is your lane going? I mean, actually, let's bring up the gold graph and just see how it's going. It's now 3-2. They have the lead in kills. And they're sitting at about a 750 gold lead right there.
Nothing substantial. As we kind of predicted, at least with the bottom lane, Windrunner is one of the top farmers in the game, hands down. I mean, Power Shot can almost kill a cold creep wave just with one attack. And then, of course, she can just pick it off. And she decided to actually go a quick phase boot, so her auto attack damage is even higher. So last hitting for her was no problem at all. Whereas I was going more, actually, I believe I had the Courier delivering it now. Yeah, I decided to go straight for that Ring of Aquila. That way I could have my mana up, I could, have that armor and just be all around a little better off in my lane presence. I guess they are trying to rune control line. You're going to see them actually go here on Invoker again.
Yeah, I mean, we actually, as we were getting into this game, after we had finished the picks, and we're just, sitting, buying our starting items, I think pretty much everyone on our team was like, okay, that's a really weird setup they have. We think we outpicked them. All we have to do is play smart. And if you look, we have wards constantly up top river and at bottom river to make sure that they weren't making movements around with this little gank squad of theirs to try and take advantage. I mean, you think about it, they're spending a lot of time trying to get kills. They're actually going here on Bonk, but he pops the invisibility. Will he be able to get out? It looks like he will. Marana actually comes in here to help and will actually pick up the last hit there on Sven. Turning around one of their ganks, Roshan, very
Our teammate
angry.
comes in.
There you go, Roshan, we drafted him. Comes out, fist, walks away.
Well, what my logic there was, I knew they were still hanging on that middle at that point. I'm like, they're going to dive him again. They have no reason not to. So I decided to come in here. Arrows, when they're going to be around the tower, are pretty easy to land, as you saw. It was unfortunate that I could only get the one kill because Veno obviously was a lot faster. I don't even have boots yet. I was going more for that laning presence. But yeah, it's still good. At least we got one kill before he died. Actually, to note also, when Sven threw that stun at the tower, he actually uses his Ghost Walk or whatever it's called, and that actually made the stun not hit.
Yeah.
So that was really good play there. But he still died from the Veno ult. That was just too strong of damage over time, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. Up in the top lane, we have Terps running around here trying to pull some creeps. As I was saying before, though, when you have these roaming heroes, they're not getting any farm except from whatever they're getting in the kills and assists. So they're dedicating Kunkka and Sven, who interestingly enough is leveling stats in Torrent, which I'm not a fan
I have
of.
a huge issue with that.
Yeah, but where I was going with that was...
They're not getting farm.
Yeah, so let's pull up the gold graph again here, because this is something I kind of noticed. They wind up getting their ganks, their kills, or whatever, And then the gold graph starts to slowly come back towards us because we're picking up more steady farm than we are. Right now, they have the kill advantage and the first blood advantage. Here, actually, in the top lane, you can see Terps comes up and helps get a kill when they try to come in to gank our lane. And Slara picks up one. So now we have this slight kill lead.
See, and I mean, they were trying to go on Slardar, who's our tankiest champion on our lineup. If they went maybe for the Vengeful Spirit instead, they would have probably a lot better options of killing him.
Nope.
Well, no, of course not. Vengeful obviously is the tankiest person by far in the game. But yeah, I mean, as much as I do love their combo, sometimes it's just not enough. And as you saw, especially with Earthshaker, with great potential to block in, as we saw there, I mean, Kunkka just had nowhere to go and he was done. But I want to really quickly harp back onto Kunkka going to skill-bound stats instead of Tidebringer. There was actually a point. He was level 2 up here when they were going for this gank. And he had stats in Taunt instead of either Tidebringer or X marks the spot. And if he had either of his other moves, I believe he would have at least gotten one kill onto the Earthshaker. And I mean, just like how much helpful is that? Was it like 25 mana or something from that stats and a little bit of health? I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're thinking about this as ganking, you want to try and burst somebody down, especially at this early point when people are most likely going to be near towers. So why not pick up the extra damage here? Unfortunately, Terps gets caught out, and they run in that combo again. The spend stun immediately followed by the Torrent. A very nice setup, a good amount of damage, but yeah, when you could be putting points into the Tidebringer, I mean, that's going to give you cleave. So maybe if you're coming to gank top lane, you're hitting Vengeful and Slardar. Vengeful has very, very short range, so you're going to be able to cleave both of those heroes. I mean, I think there's just a lot more utility if this is the kind of build you're looking to go for over the stats.
And you can see how scared you guys were at this point. We lost that ward coverage. I guess it went down, and you guys were like, oh, they're down the middle. Where are they? And there's only 2 of us by this tower. Oh, boy. I mean, like, just that just shows how important it is to have the ward coverage, which I believe is either getting delivered. Yeah, you have a ward now, as well as counter wards, actually. So you really want to make sure. Actually, here they're going to probably come in on you guys.
I get caught like, whoa, right about here. There wasn't really anything for me to do except not run into area I couldn't see. They tried very hard to save me. A great stun by Gina being there. Will they be able to pick up a kill? Yes, they do. So this is just another situation where we're able to turn around one of these ganks. Keeping good communication was something we were really trying to harp on in this game as well. So we call out for TPs for help, and Bonk comes right up, picks up a kill for himself, easily paying for that kill and giving him some extra experience as well. I mean, that was something that was, as soon as we were like on a episode, I'm like, okay, we're gonna talk way too much. Like, that was so important to me. I was like, okay, Brett, this is what you're gonna do. This is, this is what I'm gonna buy. This is what I'd like you guys to buy. I'm gonna tell you when I'm stunning. I'm gonna tell you when I'm ulting. I'm gonna tell you, whenever I'm doing much of anything important. So it's not like, well, I thought you were gonna stun. Well, I thought you were gonna stun. And who are picking up these items. I mean, like, I could have very easily tried to pick up Drum of Endurance, but we're gonna see Bonk will actually go to build that. So I think if you have the opportunity to be able to play with your friends, don't be the mutes that you would be if you were just in a random game and then hit the talk button if you feel so inclined randomly. Talk way too much and just be over chatty, if anything.
Really good job by Earthshaker there. There's 4 of them converging on you, right? The kitty agrees completely. Is she perched? That's great. Really good job, though. I mean, that's just why Earthshaker is sometimes a little underrated. I mean, not only is it a stun, but it also is now an object in the game that the team has to deal with, and in that case, easily shut off them from coming after you guys. So, really good job there. Actually, this is my... Here we go. I guarantee you there's going to be action down here very, very soon. Look how confident.
Ow! You know what's happening. Just sitting over in the woods, leaping over after casting an arrow, and pulling down the Starstorm. I mean, that's like... I believe the Starstorm does 450 damage when maxed out. The arrow does another... Yeah, 450 when maxed out if the second arrow hits the same target. And then something like 250, 300 damage from a max rank arrow as well. A ton of burst damage.
360.
Oh, look at that!
So, excuse you, 800 combo damage before mitigation, of course.
Yeah, I mean, just a huge amount of damage. Actually, just to harken on something else, I do believe I mentioned in one of our casts, the nice thing about Mirana is the fact that she's a mage that turns into a carry.
I believe you did say that, actually.
I don't remember which VOD it was, but one of the professional players happened to say, the nice thing about Mirana, she's an int hero who turns into an agility hero. Just saying. Anyway, here in the middle lane we have some more action.
Oh, no.
Nice stun from this guy, just saying. Then laying out the negative armor and just too much damage there. Sardar picks up the kill. I call out the swap, then do it to make sure that we can get an additional kill on the Sven, making sure that none of my teammates were walking away when I did that, so, just a nice thing there. I was quite poor in this game, actually, up to this point. Eventually I started picking up some items. Getting that Ring of Basilius, just the extra armor is fantastic. Jay sucking. My favorite part of any game, really.
I was hoping actually not to capture that on video.
Yeah, well, I know I gotta skip something in 14 minutes. Actually, they look to try and take down this Darkseer, and they're able to. The stun from Earthshaker ensuring that. Jay picking up some damage from the Windrunner, but look, there you go again. The wall was able to cut her off from you guys, so you were able to get away just fine.
Yeah, so actually it looks like the Venemaster are now trying to move around, trying to set something up, but I think we're a little... I was telling Terps, like, what are you doing? Get the hay out of here. We know they're coming. And sure enough, here it comes. Actually, a nice TP after I guess we called that out.
Oh, and hey, look, a nice little swap. Little swapperoo. Terps goes down. Venomancer drops the ulti. I turn around and go here on the Windrunner, realizing that with the Windrunner not going to be able to catch her. Again, we have a TP from Bonk coming in to help us try and deal with this. The Mirana ult is popped, and we both get away.
Wow.
Just good map awareness.
What coordination.
Yeah, I mean, it's the talking way too much. Oh, crap, we're getting engaged on here. There's a lot of people. Can we get a TP in? And then Jay, realizing all that action was still going on down there, watching it, popping the ulti to make sure we can get out. I think that Mirana ulti is a huge spell that gets completely ignored sometimes. Here, some more beautiful coordination. The tornado coming in right when Earthshaker comes in. Does Echo Slam, unfortunately will go down though. And now they look to pursue. This is a nice little save there by Jay. Throwing arrows, I retreat. I'm gonna pick up the kill on Venomancer. And then Jay,
are you getting tired of talking
nuts. You will try to pursue this Darkseer, get knocked up by a torrent.
Yeah, I don't believe it. Oh, no, it was close. But I mean, the Kunkka did a really good job saving him. Once again, now he's got another point stats instead of either Tidebringer or X marks the spot. You think with roaming, X marks the spot, at least put a point in if you're going to be a roaming role. That way you can help set up kills a lot easier, I feel like. But instead, he just really wanted those stats, and it just really boggles my mind.
Yeah, I mean, this team they go in on me here. I don't want to call out the action too much because just in case you guys are listening to the podcast, I'd rather be more information than la action. Good job there, turning that one around. Nice arrow. Anywho, yeah, I was trying to think of ways that they could potentially try and make this strategy work. I think one of the good ones might be if you kept Kunkka in a lane, maybe had Windrunner support. Let Kunkka have farm in the lane until he gets like a Shadow Blade. He'd have the levels in Tidebringer, as well as the Torrent. So then he would be able to go around invisible with some extra speed, the crit damage. Then I think he becomes a good roamer, a good ganker, and then they can try and take that with the Venomancer around and the Windrunner power shot and try and clear out waves and push towers really easily. But that's one of the really nice things about strategies based around ganking is it gives you opportunities to get those tower kills. And as you can see in this game, we're now 16, 17 minutes in. Our team really isn't built for pushing towers. We don't have any heroes that are really adept at it except for you, maybe Invoker, if he was going the Expert build. But, they're sitting on Darkseer and Vengeful and Windrunner. And then they still have AoE abilities through Tidebringer and then the Sven Cleave, which he isn't leveling, or the stun as well. So they have some potential to push if they get opportunities to do it on the map. They're just not getting those opportunities because we're keeping tabs on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to check a goal graph. Woof, there's the difference. Happened right around this 12.5-minute mark. They
started that.
They were up to a 1200. I believe it happened after... So it was when I think Bonk actually ported into the top lane. And then from there, you can just see all these red dots with all our kills compared to theirs. And we just kept lining them up and lining them up. And I mean, to this point here, all the way down now to 1200. It's back up to 1000, but the point is, and that's with... There's no tower difference. Actually, they even have one of our towers, two of our towers pushed. We have none of theirs, and yet we have 1,000 gold advantage on them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a big part of that is the fact they have the two roaming heroes. There are two heroes not farming. And so we only have the one. And I'm picking up a tiny bit.
Yeah, and the gold per minutes, as you can see here, I mean, average around 250, 300 for three of us. They have Windrunner and Slaughter really farm, but then the other ones just kind of drop off. And Dark's here, I mean, he's doing the best he can with what he's got, but he couldn't really get too far into the lane without the fear of Vengeful and the Earthshaker setting something up on him. So really he depended on his Ionic Shell to get most of the farm for him, which is not usually enough to keep up with who's getting the farm in that thing.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to point out something that I've been messing around with on Vengeful Spirit, just picking up the Tranquil Boots, which I actually like quite a bit. There was one particular time in the game when I was watching the replay through, I didn't catch it earlier. Oh, this is an interesting thing. I do believe we see something to say that their little gang squad is coming top, and this is again where that sort of communication comes, like, they're coming up here, guys, you need to get up here. Jay's sitting out on the side, they look to dive me here, and I stun the Sven inside of tower range. Then swap him back onto the tower just to make sure we pick up that one kill. And then look at this beautiful tornado by Vaughn. A beautiful play there, but here again, they try and spend all this energy and these heroes trying to pick up gank kills, and they just aren't able to do it when we just turn it around on them and they're not able to make anything of it.
Yeah, they really were trying to force a fight there that they shouldn't have. They had no idea where we were on the map. They didn't know we knew, but, we had that sense. And when they had to dive towards a tower, when they can't even really see the heroes they're diving on, that's just overextending way too far. And they have to be aware of how strong our team is in teamfight. We have multiple stuns. We have the Invoker CCs. Mirana has a stun and high damage. It's just all around, a lot of damage coming out that they just weren't able to deal with.
Yeah, this is Gino being a little bit too far extended. I mean, again, we see the usefulness of that combo there. I think we're actually going to lose Kunke here. Oh, man. Good job there, Jay.
If Jay actually landed his stun. See, the fact is, for some reason, I expected him to move, and he didn't. So I just altogether missed my arrow.
You just expected him to quickly pick up that Force Staff. Somewhere in between not having
pull it out from the grass and just use it.
From the grass.
There's grass all around here. You're the Tranquil Boots guy. You know all about that.
It might actually be here. Yes, it is. The three of us are looking to push this tower. There's only Venomancer. Venomancer is good at holding off pushes, but he's so squishy, a lot of the times you can just go for him. So it's somewhere up around here, I do believe I come in, and I go, swapping, and Derp's like, you sure, buddy? I'm like, yep, and then poof, swap happens. Because of the Tranquil Boots, I'm moving faster than everybody else, and can get those swaps in the sun, which is something I really like about the Tranquil Boots on Vengeful Spirit. And that's something else I like about when you consider the quote-unquote carry Vengeful builds. Mm-hmm. They pick up that Yasha that's movement speed, and that's going to give you the ability to get those initiation moves used more effectively, and in situations where they otherwise wouldn't be, because you're just too far away.
Absolutely. Kind of a little odd that they have a ward here, and then I've seen Vino placing his wards there very often, which is a really good idea. Mm-hmm. But the fact is here, it's kind of like overkill, because, if you see him coming from here, you do really need the vision coming from here. Another thing that was kind of strange in that moment, 4 of them converged on middle when there was no tower to push. So really, they're just wasting farm all their lanes. Meanwhile, I was free farming bottom lane. Invoker was doing pretty good farm by himself, so really they were just wasting farm all over the map that they could have been gaining instead.
Yeah, looking around the items, Darkseer moving towards that Aghanim Scepter. What's Sven got? I'm curious. I don't think he gets much.
He just got boots, I swore. He hasn't had boots until like just now.
Yeah, the unfortunate part again of the inefficient ganking. What other kind of things have shown up to you in this game? Can you bring up the goal graph again? We now have double the kills, sitting at 21 to 9, now sitting on a 3,000 gold advantage. What other kind of things is this game telling you?
Well, it's definitely not saying that like a roaming team is bad per se. It's more that, like you were saying kind of before, it has to be really successful if that's your strategy. And you also, I think, have to be willing to adjust your strategy if it's just not working out. And as you saw, they forced fights that they shouldn't have, and that ultimately led to us porting in because we were being good with communication and teamwork. And then we were able to actually counter-gank them and kill them in the lane. And it just really wasn't working out for them. And now they're so far behind that the only one that has the farm is Windrunner, who's not bad with farm, but not necessarily as good as, per se, Sven or Kunkka, who can steroids, get some big damage out, and really help their team. And then, Venomancer, I feel a similar way with him, how he's not like a really nice mid to late game hero. He's fine, but he's not going to carry you in the same way that a Slardar or a Marana is.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier, I like a lot of the components on their team, but it's the four of Sven, Venomancer, Kunkka, and Darkseer. Just something about that. I feel like if you take one of those heroes out and replace him with another hero, you can get some beautiful synergy, but between the four of them on the one team, it seems to be not optimal.
Yeah, you see Invoker actually pushing down his bottom lane by himself, no opposition. And I'm meanwhile just continuing the pressure on this top lane, and I'm against this Kunkka who only has Arcane Boots. He's got no chance. He has now his first point in Tidebringer. So what's he going to do against the lane? He has to use his Torrent, which makes him come up here against the lane. Easy kill for me, and he had no chance because he's just so far behind. I'm level 15. What level is he? Dare we say 7. Half my level. The poor guy.
Yeah.
And then they said the level 7 Sven. That's a tongue twister in itself. Now, is he going to defend against me? I mean, they just really are putting those in poor situations. There's the swap I missed for you.
Well, thank you for missing it. Sven selling seashells down by the seashore. I believe it's the phrase you're looking for earlier. A good Echo Slam out by Turks. He goes down again. Unfortunately, dies quite a bit this game, despite his really good play in this. Bonk like a crazy nut, running in behind, trying to take out the Venomancer, who I don't know if it's away or not.
I don't know.
But
Slider's on the chase.
I think this is a little bit overextending. Believe it or not, running between two towers when 4 heroes are in the area could be construed as overextending, but using that invisibility to get himself away, perhaps. Yes, I'm crazy, just crazy. Trying to throw out a stun there for no real gain. That's an item I want to mention that I picked up, the Ring of Aquila, like you picked up as well. Really like that on Vengeful Spirit. And we're talking about the fact that, I believe it was last cast, that she doesn't really have empty stats. Like when we talk about Ognum and Scepter on heroes, it's like, well, agility not really that good, you know, or the strength, like, meh. I mean, you think Vengeful Spirit's a pretty squishy agility hero. Picking up the agility gives her damage the attack speed, which is just nice to help her last hit. The Int, of course, is going to give her more mana to do the stun, and of course the strength is going to give you health, and when you're swapping into dangerous situations, it's awesome. So I really like picking up the Wraith Band to turn that Ring of Basilius and that into the Ring of Aquila. It's just a good support item to pick up if you're playing her.
Yeah, I mean, especially in this game, I feel like if you're going to run sort of like a tri-lane, actually it kills down. Oh, I was 2 versus 1ing the Kunkka Dispatch, that was twice their level, and now you're going to see Sven just drop. And they try their best, they really do. But when the carry is not only super farmed, but twice your level, especially like a Marana, you don't have a chance. And like, it's sad that they can't even do anything against me 2 versus 1. They can't slow my farm. They can't stop the pressure I can put on them. And I mean, that's just how poor in a position they are. But what I was trying to say, hopefully before something else happens, is that if you're running like a tri-lane kind of thing, I really think it's important to at least have one Ring of Basilisk in your lane to give the armor and the mana regen so you can continue team fighting. Because essentially, you know, they're going to give maximum benefit the more heroes you have in that lane from that aura.
Yeah, I mean, there was, I forget what region it was. I remember hearing that there was a time where there would be 3 Ring of Basiliuses on one team, 1 for each lane, because it's just that good of an item. It's the mana regeneration, the armor for you, your allies, and the creeps that are around you, so it's a really good pushing tool if you're able to get any kind of an opportunity or an opening, just to be able to put some additional pressure onto a tower.
Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement here, and you're going to see Metal go down here. Once again, Vito's trying his best, putting up some wards. Here's actually a wall with the vacuum. Oh, the vacuum just missed by a little bit. It hit me, but I'm the only one that got the ultimate work here. And Rick's going to run away from it. We decided at this point, like, okay, why fight near this wall? It's just going to cause problems. Let's wait for that to go down, or throw tornadoes, whatever you do like
There we go, one or the other.
And, you know, wait till this all goes down, then we'll definitely reinforce, because we're the stronger team at this point by a long shot.
Certainly. What other things do you think? Because, like I said, I do like some of the hero pickups by the reading team. What kind of shuffling around of heroes would you try and do to make or take advantage of the kind of strategy they're trying to run?
Well, like I said, I think personally I would have liked the Kunkka to maybe solo mid. I don't think he would have done as well against Marana. He would have maybe gotten harassed out of that lane pretty decently. But I think against Invoker, if he just runs up, leveling that Tidebringer, he gets to that point where it's like rank 3 and it's only a 7-second cooldown. He just run up, boom, kill pretty much half the creep wave right there. And if he's afraid, he can just torrent to get out of there. You know, he's pretty safe, and he can really tanky, get that Vanguard early. Doesn't have to worry about a thing after that point, really. And, like, I think Vino's still a really good option for setting up ganks. So I think the strategy still could have worked with the Sven stun followed by a Vino slow, and then, you know, whatever else is in the lane. I think that could have definitely worked.
Yeah, I mean, even if you had sent the Vino the Sven roaming instead of the Sven and the Kunkka, like you said, give Kunkka a solo. Something like that might have worked out better. Or playing the Windrunner support to Kunkka, and then, like I was saying, get the Shadow Blade so that he can still farm if, you know, his ganks don't work out. But, you know, it's going to give him the ability to sneak up on some people to get that big crit hit out, as well as the damage from his Tidebringer and from the Torrent. So.
Well, the other issue I had in this game for Team Aqua here, they had a Windrunner who was farming the best in the game, actually. Had the highest CS throughout the game, so was doing really well for herself, but then she didn't ever gank. And when you're level 7 or 8 Windrunner, you're at one of your strongest points, I feel like, especially in the early mid-game, because your power shot's like maxed out, you're going to do a ton of damage. And you have that Shackle shot, you're going to see Earthshaker just get annihilated here. Not before he gets to drop a lot of his spells, though. Here comes the Pirate Ship of Doom, and that is going to lead to actually their own death somehow. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we have just superior position, I think, in items at this point. I got to kill with my stun and then swap somebody else in to get a kill. I mean, whereas as soon as you start to retreat, especially against heroes like Marana and Vengeful Spirit, you're going to just keep losing ground because of the swap back, because of the stun, especially when I'm moving so fast with those Tranquil Boots. You're going to be able to land your arrow and leap after people. And then, of course, Invoker, too, a very quick hero, going to be able to catch up and perhaps set up the tornadoes to slow down the retreat. So it's kind of a hard team to play against because as soon as you start to lose, you're just gonna lose, and you just kind of have to try and pick up whatever you can get out of it, I think.
Absolutely, and you can see this. I believe, is it called Alacrity?
Yes.
Yes, giving that to Marana, giving that to giving another steroids to your carry. It's just amazing. You saw, well, not all of you saw, but I mean, once we put that Slaughter Alt, plus your armor reduction coming out from Vengeful Spirit, plus your damage increase, plus Alacrity, Condor doesn't stand a chance, let alone anyone, really.
Yeah, I mean, well, Slaughter wasn't there, was he?
I swore I saw the armor debuff come
It
up.
was my armor debuff from Medallion of the Horde.
So they look really similar, then I guess he just doesn't change color when you put yours on, that's all. Interesting.
Yeah, you know, another really awesome item to just pick up on the Vengeful Spirit, the Medallion, because you get 2 forms of mana regeneration, and when, you know, mana's such a big issue on her, you know, being able to just Wave of Terror willy-nilly to keep tabs on the area around you, I think, you know, a very good idea. They kind of concede at this point. We're just like, okay, just push mid. What ifs? They were apparently we're trying out this new strategy. I was being way overly nice because it's like they're a team and they're trying something new and, you know, whatevs.
And this is the perfect place to do it.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna, I don't know if they play in tournaments or something, but that's not the place to try out strategies. You try them out in these kind of different custom practice modes or whatever, Captain's mode. These are nice swap there from Vengeful Spirit. So much armor reduction. Oh, that's just disgusting. If only you could watch that. I'm kind of sad. I'd have to clean my eyes after that one, but yeah, I mean, just all around, tons of damage. Yeah, like you said, this game is way over at this point. I like the concept. I like the core concept of the 2 roams. I love the Sven stun to set up things because, you know, it not only can be an AoE stun, but it also does some nice damage. And I think the stun is the same duration. Yeah, 2 seconds throughout the whole level. So level 1, it's a really good tool for that. The Torrent's an interesting way to go into that. I mean, it normally is very hard to land, which is why you don't see as many Kunkkas as you normally would think. But obviously with the 2-second stun, and I believe the delay 1.6 seconds. So that actually will, if you cast it close to the time that stun gets off, you're going to guarantee a land on that. So follow that up with a movement speed slow when that falls down. You know, if you at least have a third person in the lane, they should die ultimately. So it's an interesting concept. It just didn't work out against what we had running.
Yeah, and I mean, you think too, Darkseer is going to be sucking everybody in, and that's going to line up Torrents to hit multiple people. It's going to be helping Sven stuns hit multiple people. It's going to help Windrunner be able to shackle heroes together. So I think maybe that was the heart of what they were trying to do with their team, but instead didn't necessarily. Now the game's over. kind of want to go into this quasi-podcast mode for maybe 10, 20 minutes and sort of try and relate some of what we've seen here to our own personal play, just as we try and get better as players, and of course the competitive scene. And we didn't do much of it in this game because I forgot to mention you to do it, but we were trying to look up the goal graphs and stuff. It's interesting now that we have this ability to rewind and go back and watch. You can watch a team fight happen and then be like, okay, so I saw it happen. Then go back, rewatch it again, open up the goal graph, and see how what transpired actually affected another aspect of the game. Or like we're saying here, what if that team was like, I don't really know why we lost that or whatever. They can go back and be like, oh, well, yeah, we're steadily losing goal the whole game because we just aren't having people pick up the extra farm. And so I think that's something that's really important, even if you're just playing in regular pub games, not the Captain's Mode game, but to really take advantage of the ability to go back and watch your own replays, watch them several times over and really pick apart the little mistakes that you may have made or just the overall overarching problems in the game.
Yeah, and like I said, I feel like they needed to not be so rigid with their strategy. I mean, I think part of their problem was I loved how it opened up. They had really good... we didn't expect it. They set up those ganks. It worked really well. And then I felt like they were when they were at that peak. It was about 1,000 gold advantage is when... I mean, obviously you can't really figure out, oh, this is when we start doing something else. But... maybe they should have decided, oh, it's a little hard to gank. They're not as surprised. They're expecting it. They're warding. This is actually a lot more difficult. Maybe we should change it up a little bit. We're at like level 4 or 5. We can switch these lanes up and maybe get some farm now on this Sven or on this Kunkka. And that way we have the late game transition. Because at that point in the game, Windrunner and Venomancer were their late game. And I mean, that's just not going to cut it, like I've been saying over and over again. But I mean, I think that's just what really, really set them back.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of harking on the replay thing again. If you play against something that you think is just like broken, like you think about like the late game anti-mage or something like that, like something that you can't figure out how to beat it. I've always thought it was interesting watching StarCraft 2 when you would kind of go through and watch replays of those kind of games. You're just like, I don't know how to beat this. I have no idea what to do. You can kind of look to see like, oh, I had opportunities here, here, and here, and maybe do something to change the flow of the game, or oh, Colossi Immortal are broken. All right, stop them from getting that. Try and figure out something to work on a different area of the game, perhaps. And I think that's something that the replay system really lets you do, is it lets you go back and rewatch even very specific parts of the game just to try and really understand what happened and how you can try and prevent against it.
Absolutely. So definitely worth the investment. Obviously, not always super worth it in like if you're just solo queue in a random matchmaking or whatever. I mean, you can see from your own development maybe what mistakes you made, but it's kind of hard to grasp. Like, oh well, if my team messed up, there's nothing much I could do. But with like an environment like this where you play with at least 3, 4, 5 people, okay, yeah, we didn't do this collectively, and that's obviously how the results happen. So yeah, definitely worth the time. Obviously, don't go back every single game. That's probably gonna eat. If you're playing less than you're watching, then you're probably not gonna be doing a whole lot of good. Obviously, practice makes perfect.
True story.
Is the story that is true.
Great. You mind if I set you up for failure real quick?
I love it.
What did you think about Darkseer in that game?
Why did you ask me, the king of hate on Darkseer?
Well, not Darkseer as a hero. Darkseer specific in that game.
His role, like the choice to play, the choice to pick him. That's kind of stumper. You really want me to go against what I say about that poor chap, don't you? The thing is,
I don't have thoughts. Okay.
You obviously have some. You're sneaky, but I mean, ultimately, honestly, I did like him picked up in that game. I like him in what they were trying to accomplish. They obviously knew. There was obviously a hard carry on our team that they could take advantage of. Even Invoker's auto attack seemed to do a lot of damage. All around that makes a lot of sense. It's a really good turtling defensive mechanism. Along with Veno wards, you can either push or defend really well with those two heroes alone. And then obviously they had Kunkka and Sven on their team. So the auto attack damage was just very high. Unfortunately, you do need that Agumon Scepter to take advantage of who's on your team to get the images of your allies. And unfortunately, he never got to that point, so he couldn't unlock his true potential.
Yeah.
But no, in terms of like who else would you put on that team comp, I think he was the best suited for it.
Yeah, I've just been trying to pay attention to some random games going on, different tournaments and whatnot. I actually watched a game from the Premier League, the Monthly Madness, and it was Dignitas, I believe, versus MTW. And Dignitas picks up Darkseer first pick. MTW picks no one that auto-attacks at all. Tiny, you could say late, will pick up the Augment Scepter, most likely late. He'll be able to cleave, do a lot of auto-attack damage. He'll probably be looking to pick up the attack speed. That's all fine and dandy. But on their team, they have the Mirana and the Skelly King, so you can kind of understand that, okay, worst case scenario, you build the Augment Scepter, and you're going to be getting those heroes copied. What's interesting, it seems like a lot, not just in Dota 2, but kind of get an idea of a hero's good, and sort of forget why they're good. Like, think about, when did we first see Darkseer become a huge force? When Dragon Knight was huge, and then fighting against Broodmother. Against Dragon Knight, because the person you're cloning is doing massive amounts of AoE damage. And so it's not just the auto attacks on one person, or if the image just happens to start attacking a creep, it's still going to be doing hero damage.
Right.
Broodmother, of course, the Ion Shell, you're going to be able to get more farm because you're going to be picking up some of the spiraling creeps. But I've been kind of not so happy with the picks of Darkseer of late, because they're just kind of picking it up. It's like, well, we can just copy people. It's like, that's great, but in the situation where you're fighting Tinies, is that really worth doing? Yeah, you can pick up the auras, but let's say you clone Assault Curious, you're essentially just canceling out the other team's Assault Curious, right? Because you're getting 5 armor and decreasing 5 armor, and they're increasing 5 armor and decreasing 5 armor, so it just cancels out. Like, heroes not being picked up and put into their habitats where they do best. And I think, too, because I'm just going to talk forever.
I understand.
You look at how Anti-Mage was picked up in the finals of the defense tournament. Picked up in a lot of situations where he just didn't belong. Anti-Mage, of course, super late game, is the best carry there is, arguably.
Yeah.
Just so strong. But when games are lasting 30 minutes, when a lot of pressure is being put up, he's a guy you literally have to carry on your shoulder up to that point.
And let me stop you there. When you say games last 30 minutes, it's not generally the end, okay, 30 minutes, done. What really, and I know what you're saying, I'm trying to spell it out for the viewers here, is that, like, 30 minutes is when the big fights are coming about, when it really starts to matter who's on your team, because when there's all these Leshrac, all these people are amazing at pushing, they're starting to now come for your Tier 2 towers, and eventually, maybe even your Tier 3 towers. That's where map control, all that comes into play, and if you're still stuck with an anti-mage who's trying to get his farm up, he doesn't, at that point in the game, he's not going to help you nearly as much as some of these other AGI carries that we named off already. Even like a Faceless Void, for example, he needs a ton of farm, but at least he has that Chronosphere to contribute to teamfight. Anti-Mage, all he can really do is tank some damage with that spell damage reduction, survive, and then maybe burn some mana here and there. But in the end, he really isn't at that point going to do what you need him to do. And I think that's what I agree with. When these games are starting to, like, the importance is now, here's 30 minutes, what can you do against our push? Anti-Mage is doing, I still need 15 minutes of farm, so hold off.
Yeah, I'm still looking for Battle Fury. Hold on. We'll see what we can do.
I hope at 30 minutes they have a Battle Fury.
Well, you figure the teams you're fighting against, they're going to be pushing really hard. You're not going to have the time to just kind of run around in your own jungle and try and pick up creep kills or, get control of the lane, because it might constantly be threatened, And so maybe that's just me looking from the outside in and noticing the heroes are sort of getting put in situations where they're not meant to thrive. And people are just like, well, these heroes are good, let's just pick them up,
Another really good example, this is not the professional scene, this was another game we played as friends, but Lich, when we kept going back to him, international, banned are like one of the first picks, like every game. Like Lich, armor, lane control, so many things that change. Oh my gosh, his ulti is stupid good damage if the team's all clumped up. But now in this meta, he doesn't really belong, because what his purpose is to keep the creeps near your tower in the laning phase by denying your own. That way you don't have to worry about overextending when you're trying to farm the creeps. And it worked really well, and you also kept them out of experience range generally. So it made a lot of sense back then. But now that the meta is about pushing towers, keeping pressure on the towers, that kind of thing. And this is why I'm going with, for example, my friend. Our friend picked up Lich with anti-mage in the lane, and while they had decent, it was against like a Leshrac and maybe a Pudge, it doesn't matter. The point is, they were against a Leshrac who's like, oh, you're keeping everything by your tower? Diabolic Edict. Now your tower's, I think it was like 6 minutes in, our tower went down. just because Lich was keeping the creeps near the tower, and Leshrac took full advantage of that. And that's why I agree with you. Like, it's not about the hero just being good. It's about the environment he's in. That's if he'll excel or not.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, looking at that game, the Dignitas versus MTW, I really got to I knew who won already before I went into the game. And so it was kind of funny watching. I think Mirana had the highest farm in the game, as far as gold per minute, and Skelly King had the most kills in the game. So the carriers were doing well, and it's interesting that the team fights seemed to be, and the people who were casting were like, yeah, they're looking really strong. They just won a team fight 2 for 1, but Darkseer dies, but don't worry about it. And then, okay, we have this engagement, but Darkseer dies. Okay, we have this engagement, Darkseer goes down again. And so they never get the Augment Scepter, and there's no one on the other team to clone. Mm-hmm. And so I believe he got one good ulti off, where it copied his team and the opposing team. It took after the 30-minute mark to pick up his Augment Scepter. And so it's just people, like, these abilities are really good, but again, only in these certain situations, certain habitats where these heroes are really meant to thrive.
Habitats.
Habitats.
I don't know why I thought that was so funny.
It's a good word.
I was thinking about habitats for humanity as soon as you said it.
And that made you laugh. Homes for people.
Helping people.
Just allow me to clean my monocle.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, we're kind of driven that point in, but yeah, just so when you're going into games, just when you're thinking of lineups, don't just pick a hero because you think he's good. Make sure it's kind of like gonna flow with the game and how that's why like picking and counter picking is such an important game, and that's why I think picks and bans is the single most important part of the game. Obviously, okay, how a player functions in the game is pretty important, but that picks and bans can really tell how not necessarily, but generally it will show like how a game might turn out. Like if some team just completely outpicked, it shows in the game. Like no matter how strong you are with this guy, this guy, if the other team just completely outclasses you in what they're doing, you're not going to really stand a chance. So.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, you got to make sure you guys are playing the same game.
Yes, playing Dota 2 helps when you're trying to play other people in Dota 2.
Well, I mean, I just get so caught up in Hello Kitty Island Adventure that...
Do you have the expansion yet?
Do I? Come on.
I pre-ordered that stuff. Come on.
Got the collector's edition and everything. Got the nice
you get like a fancy little hat?
I got the bow, and then I got the little dress.
You know too much about this now.
Well,
that's it's okay.
Maybe this is a good time to...
Do you want to wrap things up here?
I think so. Thank you guys.
Because I am hungry.
No. We're not eating.
And this is like the first time I haven't had dinner while doing one of these things.
With the pizza just staring off from the side. Murray. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, sorry we were off schedule, but thank you for tuning in. Please leave comments if you liked this sort of half breakdown, half podcast kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll definitely do more. We'd love to do some of your guys' stuff. If you want to email us at dotaondemand@gmail.com, leave us a comment, just whatever you want to do to contact. We've got so many ways listed. I don't need to keep going over it, but yeah, feel free. If you think one of your replays is worth casting, we'll definitely consider it. You'd probably do it, honestly. What we got better to do? Not a lot.
Nothing at all.
I mean, work and school, that can be pushed aside. No, not really important.
Quit work, quit school.
Make more pennies on these videos.
There you go. So we'll see you guys this coming Tuesday with another podcast, Dota On Demand presentation. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next time.